everybody. My name is Lish Speaks, and welcome to the second episode of the second season of I'll Just Let Myself In. At this podcast, you already know we love to talk about letting ourselves into our God-given spaces. And I have a guest here who has done that time and time again, has ushered other people into doing that, and really has a very unique perspective on being excellent, on doing things well, and on really bringing the best out of ourselves in different seasons. Ladies and gentlemen, she is a podcaster, an experienced designer, a music business educator. More importantly, she's herself for a living. She's also a new member to the Atlanta Collective Board. She is featured or has been featured in Ebony, Forbes, Billboard, and Rapzilla. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Erinn Knight.
Thanks, y'all.
Yes.
Have I been featured in Ebony before?
That's what your website says.
Maybe I have. I mean, I don't know. It might have been a while ago.
That's what the website says. There's an article on there.
I'm saying,
there's a link to an article.
I was like, maybe I've been a part of an article. Okay,
perhaps. Yeah, whatever. That's what it is. Shout out to you. Shout out to Ebony.
Yeah, you doing your research. Wow.
I try. You know, I like to make sure that the people who sit on this couch feel celebrated and acknowledged for the things that they have done. Because it's only, you know, a precursor to the things that you all are going to do. So super excited to have you here. Listen, as you guys know, we get started every episode with a segment called What I'm Stepping In. And I'm super excited today because my guest, Erinn, is going to do the segment as well. So we'll go ahead and start. Erinn, tell us what you're stepping in and how you feel about this shoe.
I have some dusty ones. And I don't remember even, because I'm like not a sneakerhead, I just like style. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it could be $10 or it could be $2,000. If I'm into it, I'm into it. Yeah. But this is the first pair of Jordan 1s I ever purchased. Because I wasn't big into ones because I didn't like the colorways. Yeah. And I always wanted a like predominantly black shoe. So I got these probably like, I don't know, maybe like 5 years ago. Yeah. And I was wearing them. And then I got them like decently cleaned. Mm-hmm. And then I was wearing them. And so now they're just like so dusty. You can clean them a little bit, but they're dusty. And I rock with, because my style is kind of like I won't say dusty because I'm not, but my style is kind of like I'm bringing together all sorts of things. Mm-hmm. And I just, for right now, I really like these. I liked them when they was clean. I liked them and all their, now I won't do dirty.
Right.
Dusty and dirty are two, like I'm not doing, and there's certain shoes you can do this with. I think a gray and black Jordan 1 you can do that with, and it's high. I'm not going, don't come with no dusty, dirty mids.
So lows.
Or mids. Like, if it's a mid, it's got to be crazy. Mm-hmm. Like, it's got to be, like, I have the, Blue the Great. Mm-hmm. I have his collab mid. Mm-hmm. So that was technically my first. I consider these my first real ones because these are high. Okay. But yeah,
I would agree.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like a mid, it's got to be crazy or for a specific reason if you're going to do it. And his mids are crazy. They're not, but you can't come in I'm not going to come with super crease shoes. Yeah. I'm not going to wear no dirty forces. Like there's a code here.
There's a code.
Yeah, no. So
y'all got to stop with the dirty forces, man. Like, I don't know what this generation is on. I work with young people, and it's like they want that, but it's not just them.
Here's the thing. This is what I'm telling you.
They hang around them.
Correct.
Okay, we're not gonna even go there. But it is not in our ancestry
to be wearing, suffer for a lack of knowledge.
Yes, to be wearing no crusty, dusty Air Forces
at all.
But we was growing up in New York, we called them uptowns, and y'all be having on downtown, around towns.
It's not even the same shoe.
Keep your forces white, but that's another conversation. Thank you so much for participating in what I'm stepping in. I am stepping in a pair of New Balance 9060s, a Joe Fresh collaboration. I love these sneakers for Inside Voices. Definitely a fun shoe, a very comfortable shoe. You guys saw me wear this shoe in first season in the gray edition. Right now, this is my like everyday. I be wearing these shoes down. Like how you said you would, I be wearing them down.
That's how I want New
Balance. I be wearing them on stuff that I don't even match with. I don't care. I'm old. Yeah. We just put the sneakers on that we like. And I just make it work. But I'm stepping in some New Balance 9060s today. And as you guys know, as we always say, if you like them, go get you some.
There you go.
All right. So, Erinn, first of all, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a true supporter of this podcast.
I'm a fan.
You girls, now stop it now. Not a fan.
Really. I love podcasts. And when I saw you announce one, and I've been looking for a Black woman, I'm sorry to cut you off. No, I've been looking for, like, because I don't really watch TV or much. I watch YouTube sometimes, but I spend most of my time either listening to audiobooks or podcasts. And I've been looking for a Black woman to fill the void because, like, Neka Julia hasn't been podcasting for a while, and Black women's voices ground me. And, you know, I just want to see me, and I want to hear our stories. I don't want something heavily political. I listen to a ton of business podcasts, so I just wanted something like lifestyle. And I was in the process of filling the gap myself with a new podcast that I'm developing. So when you announced yours, I was like, let's go. I was hyped, but I didn't want to say anything because you know how people be hyped and then they forget to click the link and never watch. So you posted about it, and then I went and listened, and I was like, yo. And I was so mad that the first episode was only 20 minutes because I'm listening, didn't know how long, and then it ended. I was like, oh, no, what?
You reached out to me. You were like, girl, now is the second episode longer? I was like, is this going to get longer?
Yeah.
But you actually really encouraged me to make my solo episodes longer. Because I think for me, we just filmed the solo episode right before you got here, and I can often get in my head about, do people want to hear me talk for 40 minutes? You know what I mean? No one wants to. And so, I thought about that. And I'm like, okay.
Because the people who don't will catch the Instagram snippets. But the people who listen to podcasts want to hear you talk.
Okay. So while you're dropping gems, one of the things that you've been described as is an experienced designer. You're very good at helping people figure out how to design an experience that is specifically for their fan base or their demographic or the person who might not even know them yet, but would like them if they did know about them. And even in the advice that you give me and different things that you're saying, I can hear that, right?
Yeah.
How did you get that way? How did you learn that? It's a hard skill of yours.
It is. Yeah. It's like a hard skill that's ever developed and I just finally learned how to brand it a handful of years ago. Do you know what I'm saying? But I think I'm a super observant and perceptive person, and I don't know a lot of people like this anymore. When I was growing up, I was around a lot of people like this. But if I love something, I love it. If I don't, I literally don't care. Yeah. So if you're talking about, did you see da-da-da-da?
Yeah.
That's why I don't watch TV.
You got to get around the neurospices. We're like that.
What?
The neurodivergent folks?
I am.
I know.
Yeah.
Me too.
That's
what I'm saying. There's not a lot of people like that.
But I have some neurodivergent friends.
We love.
Yeah, it's like I'm and it's not just like, that's why when people are like, I'm such a fan of this, and then I start asking them, I'm like, you are like a fan enough to say you're a fan.
Yeah.
Like I see Basquiat.
Yeah.
So I've said, Jean-Michel, and people are like,
who? Yeah. Are you Asian?
No.
Oh, okay.
Or like Jean.
You said it well.
I know because I'm cultured, you know. Anyways, it came because I love experiencing things. And when I die, I want to be a fully wrung out. Like, I want God to be like, you
did that.
You not the big one. You did your biggest one, Erinn. Like, I couldn't ask for more from you. So for me, that's how I live life. I'm like in there, and I'm like, how can I get the best out of this? Yeah. But I also love sharing experiences with people. I love community, and I want somebody else to understand why I have an affection for this thing. If you don't like it, I'm okay with that. But a lot of times people say I don't like something because they haven't had a full context experience, which is why I'm an experienced designer. I want you to taste it. I want you to see it. I want you to smell it. I want you to understand it so that you can say for sure, I don't like this thing. If you don't like it, cool. But don't lie to yourself because your perception hasn't been informed by context. And so I'm big on context. Even the way that I speak, if I'm telling a story, I'm going to give you the backstory. If you get the glazed over look, you're not my target audience. You know what I'm saying? And I used to, as a kid, feel shame because I wanted to give details, and people are like, just get to the point. My point is for you to experience this with me. And I used to get frustrated and be like, I just have to edit more. And I'm getting better at editing as I've grown because I'm I want to be an effective storyteller, not just a good storyteller with a specific audience. I want to be effective. Yeah. So I cater to that. But if you do not have context, you are not in the car with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
People want a microwave. I cook.
Yeah, yeah. You cooking right now. You know,
I cook. Yeah. So because you're used to microwave, you say get to the point. Yeah. The point is not to eat. The point is to be fulfilled. And that's what I want when I create something for someone. I want people to walk away feeling fulfilled. Yeah. Whether it was just a momentary experience or you were with me for 3 weeks, a month, a year, whatever, I want you to leave fulfilled.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's good. That's so good. I think it's funny because you dabble in the gospel world, but your mom is in ministry.
Both of my parents.
Both your parents are in ministry.
They're full-time pastors still.
So your parents are full-time pastors, and you have an affinity for experiences. Did that at all start in church?
For sure. But my mom was like, was throwing the weddings for the church when my parents were associate pastors at the church I grew up in. She was the wedding coordinator. And then she started, my mom is very tactile and very creative. She's left-handed.
Tea parties and all sorts of things.
Beautiful things. Beautiful things. I did not get that gene. Like, let somebody else decorate. I'm like a fixtures person. I'm like, oh my God, like I love, like I'll look at a chandelier of fixtures. I'll look at a chair. Love it. The moment you say decorate, beloved,
get somebody else to do it.
But not even mom, because then we're going to start arguing this whole thing. But she's very like, she just, so she was throwing the weddings when I was a kid. And then as we got older, she started like decorating, and then so she became our wedding decorator, and in addition to coordinating. And and my mom, when they started the church, she always wanted the youth to have something. It was like 4 of us. So she would like do something, and my parents both grew up pretty poor. And so as we got older, my mom wanted me to have experiences. So we would go to the ballet, but we would go to the matinee on Sunday, and she would clip a coupon. You know what I'm saying? And she wanted us to experience vacation. So every year since I was a child, we went on vacation, but we would drive the minivan, we'd go stay in somebody's timeshare, and they would cook. And my mom would pack sack lunches for us to drive to Florida. So like my mom has been so intentional about giving me phenomenal experiences since I was a child. And she's a great cook. So I understand what intention and what it doesn't take a lot to make something great. It takes intentionality and it takes care. If you care about something, anything can be magical. But a lot of people would rather pay a high dollar for something that's mediocre just to talk about how much it costs. You
spitting. Let me ask you this. Before we get into some of the things that you're doing now, some of the ways that you are creating community through tech, creating community in and around Nashville and Austin, with things like, the Where Y'all At Though page and different things like that.
How you know about that? Listen, I ain't claimed that yet. That's a faceless brand.
Listen, I listen.
Whoa.
And I read and I listen.
Goodness.
And you're creating that community. You spent a lot of time helping other people get their ideas and creations off the ground. Over the last several months, I believe, you've taken a step back. Is it longer than months?
It's
8 months or so.
It's. I would say it's been in the works since like October 2022.
Okay.
But the last year and a half, really.
All right. So over that time, you've taken a step back from managing artists and managing different other people's careers.
Taking a step back is generous.
Yes, you shut it down.
I jumped out of the plane.
You said I'm good.
A parachute.
And in the midst of success, might I add, because it's very easy to quit things when they're not working out.
You can call it success.
It looked successful. I wasn't there, but in the midst of some successful,
I'm not happy. Nothing is successful.
I agree. We're gonna get there. In the midst of success, you said, listen, this is not where I'm at. We did an episode, first episode of this season, speaking about my transition into podcasting and how right now, it is not on my heart to do music. Not at all, which is what I've spent my entire adulthood doing.
I have a hot take about that I want to share. Keep going.
All right, cool. And how that's just not what I feel called to do right now. And I don't want to be walking out of alignment with what God has for me. And so this is what I'm doing. And I really feel like it's important for when we make changes to help people understand that this is what I feel like I'm being called to do, whether or not anyone understands it, agrees with it, wants to support it. This is what I have to do.
And you're moving like that.
You can either get with it or get lost. That's really how I feel. Mm-hmm. So I feel like you took that same approach when you decided, I'm not doing this anymore in terms of managing other people's careers. What caused you to do that, and what benefits have you seen personally from doing that?
So first, the hot take. I know this is your podcast.
No, but do your thing.
The hot take is that I believe that most rappers are just misdiagnosed communicators. And so a lot of rappers, a lot of artists are just frustrated right now because they're not seeing success. It's because you're just iterating in one version of your communication. You're a creative communicator, but you think you're supposed to be a rapper because you hear songs. Mm-hmm. The Lord is going to keep speaking to you because the gifts are given without repentance. But you iterating as a rapper is stopping you from reaching the bigger, better purpose that is for you. Yeah. And I'm not saying that for you. And this is not a word from the Lord.
I literally just said that in the episode before. Literally.
Yeah. You're built as a communicator. It's like it's like if I would have thought I was supposed to be a rapper, then I would be misplaced. I'm a wordsmith because I communicate and I listen well and I desire to be understood. Mm-hmm. I have honed and practiced my speaking, and that's where I iterate a lot. But I'm an effective communicator, period. Mm-hmm. If I show up and don't speak, you're going to catch my drift because that's just how I'm built. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? But a lot of times when people iterate excessively in one direction, they now believe that it's supposed to be that way.
It's their only gift. It's their only, I called it, you can have more than one offering to the world.
Or it's like, you that was for you. Oof. Do you know what I'm saying? Maybe the rapping, the wordsmith, maybe that's for you, or maybe that's for a season, or maybe that's for your wife. You know, a lot of these guys out here, cool, but that don't mean this is where maybe this is so that you can help a young gun coming in 20 years who's struggling to tell stories, but you've honed this skill. It does not mean that you are purposed to be the biggest rapper on the face. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So I think that a lot of rappers are just, like misbranded or...
That is a hot take.
Yeah. And most people, I have a ton of them, and it's not, and I preface it as a hot take because I don't mean it to be, but you say that and people will catch it wrong and be like, you just don't want... It's like, beloved, there's too many rappers for this to be everybody's purpose.
Yes, agreed. And not only for it not to be everybody's purpose, but is it what you're supposed to be doing right now?
Correct. Come on.
That's the part for me.
Come on.
I'm like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing right now? And God was like, it's not.
You're distracted with talent.
Yes.
What a waste of purpose.
And fearful that you're not going to be as good at something else.
Correct.
See, the thing for me is I'm not afraid to not be, even though I'm excellent at this.
Come on, you are. And that's why I said, I'm not specifically speaking to you, but but for you to feel comfortable enough to say I'm transitioning, I'm like, because you're a communicator. Yeah. You are meant to affect people with your words. And you know that because you do poetry, all that. You're an influencer, you're a teacher, you already know this. Yeah. That's why I'm saying I feel comfortable saying it to you because you iterate in multiple levels.
But I had fear. I had fear that I wouldn't be as good at this as I was at rapping, or I believe I am at rapping.
No, this is the segue into...
Right. And then you also can think, well, people only know me this way. I even had fear of like, oh, well, because on music, you can just be very surfacey. But I know that at some point in this podcast, I'm going to have to talk about things in my relationship with my parents that have trouble with me over the years. I'm going to have to talk about things in my marriage. I'm going to have to talk, if I want to get real with my audience.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's scary because it's like, man, I don't want people to know I have these, insecurities about my body and, whatever, God forbid I go through a tragedy. It's going to play out on this platform and you don't have to do that in music. And so I think a lot of people do hide, and that's in a lot of careers. You can just hide. You can hide. And sometimes God is calling you to do something that's going to cause you to be more vulnerable, and you have to make a choice. It's going to cause you to have to do something you're afraid of. Yeah. But the cost of disobedience is so high. The cost of disobedience. Come on. Woo, child. Yeah. Like, you can't afford it. I don't care what you can't afford disobedience. The cost is too high, and it costs more than you think it will cost.
Even in His grace, it hurt. It hurt bad.
I'm telling you. Sometimes You don't get to recover from disobedience. It's a privilege to be able to recover from disobedience. Because some people are disobedient and they die because of the disobedience.
Or they miss their moment. So they're bound to frustration for the rest of their life because they missed their moment.
So tell us, for you, how is it obeying that, hey, this is not, management is not for you right now?
I mean, I knew years ago, but I'm driven by loyalty instead of obedience. And I was so, my self-worth was very low. And so my connection to success is what caused me to stay. And I'm going to be careful saying this, but I stayed not realizing that I was actually the value in the situation. Like I was, and
some of y'all in romantic relationships, and you need to hear that.
Yeah, I was the fulcrum or the pendulum. The gifts are given without repentance. You are anointed. The Lord is going to bless you. I don't want anybody to hear this and be like, but when I'm in a room, when I'm in a business, when I'm in a company, when I'm in a situation, wherever I am, the blessing of the Lord flows. I'm not talking about trickles. I'm talking about deluge. I was misusing his anointing for my own personal satisfaction because I wanted to feel needed. I wanted to feel valued. I wanted to feel appreciated. So I went to humans that could appreciate aspects of me looking for validation. So a lot of women get caught up in people, not just women, people get caught up in negative relationships because they want to be, validated or supported, like romantically,
wanted, needed.
Romantically. What I spent my time doing, thinking that I was avoiding my daddy issues because I was doing well not to stay with clowns too long. But I was the clown. I'm sitting over here dancing for artists, hoping that they see my value. Do you know what I'm saying? It was a self-worth thing. It was a misunderstanding of stewardship. I was 100% casting my pearls to swine. The people don't understand what I have. I'm still discovering what I have. That's something that the Lord is consistently illuminating to me, but I wasn't stewarding it well. So I started feeling a tension with management probably 5 years ago. And I had plenty of opportunities to leave. And as the Lord was allowing me to leave situations or artists to leave me, I kept finding people to bring back into the fold.
You'll always find.
Well, in fact, I wasn't even finding people. I'm talking about people were calling me and we were almost out. And I say we because me and my business partner, and that's another thing. The people who love you the most have the best intentions, but you have to hear from the Lord and you have to move according to that. So last year was the year from hell for me, for sure, because I had an artist call me who I adored. The artist I most listened to since Spotify has been releasing your favorites. Number one for the last 6 years. Calls me and says, I've seen what you've done with artists I've never heard of. Imagine what you could do with me. And I was like, well, I was thinking about getting out of management, but I've always dreamed of working with this person. I never even knew he had my number. I knew he knew I existed. We followed each other on socials, which was kind of cute, but we didn't have a relationship. So I don't even know how he got my number when he called me. So yeah, prayed about it. I don't even know what God told me because I feel like if I would have really laid it before him, he would have been like, absolutely no. And he might have not given me anything. But I do know that there were multiple signs in the process of us trying to work out the relationship. And I told my business partner, and we've had this conversation. This is on camera documented, so this is not me taking shots at him. Love my dog, amazing human. I told him, we're not supposed to be doing this. I said, it's too this is too complicated, and I'm not into complicated anymore because I was transitioning out of the BS.
Right.
Stuck with it for many months. And I won't tell you how much money I lost on that, but it was over six figures. Jesus. Last year, my company took a $250,000 loss. Disobedient. I lost $250,000 in my company last year. I had to lay off 8 employees, and I gave back shares of a company that had 3 other people that were affiliated with it. Like, that's because I was supposed to go. I had a way out, and I didn't. In addition to that, I went through a lawsuit last year. People saw a lot of public stuff happen to me last year. They have no idea what I was actually going through. That was just a sideshow. I didn't even care to comment on it. Because if it were true, if any of it were true, if it were true,
I
don't waste.
Would have been very right. I know. I know. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
If you're a business person, you would know it wasn't true. Yeah. But also, respectfully, people in the world that were talking about me are so respectfully insignificant to like the music business at large, which is where I'm at. And not just the music business at large, business at large. Like I work in the business world. Right. I don't have to tell you my accolades. I work in the business world. I do growth strategy for Fortune 500 companies. I'm consulting for fintech companies right now. You know what I'm saying? So like, but in the music business world, I walk into a room with any of these artists, people will stop me. And that's
I've seen it. I know.
There's no disrespect, but you know what I'm saying? I was going through all of that. And then in addition to that, I had this intellectual property issue going on. So when they threaten lawyers, I'm like, I have 3 on call, but like, we're believers.
Right. Yeah. What we doing?
So if you want to go here, the only reason the other lawsuit I had to keep dealing with it was because I was like, I have all the evidence here, and it ended up going into litigation. I won, whatever, BS. But I'm not interested in harming believers or Black people, even if you're working to harm me. I just know I need to. I'm not interested in harming anybody.
Right.
Let me
get
say
the sound bite. I'm not just.
y'all not gonna eat me.
I'm not interested in harming nobody.
You can try to cancel me for a lot of reasons, but not for that. I'm not interested in harming anybody. But I have an expedited, urgent, special interest to not harm believers and Black people. So if you align with those things, even with the lawsuit, I was being sued by a previous business partner. Like, I know his parents, his grandparents.
Yeah.
We
didn't have to do all of this. Yeah.
That's why I didn't count. I may be countersuing. But that's why in that moment, I just was like, let this play out, because I don't want to be fueled by my anger, by my hurt, by my frustration. Yeah. Last year was rough, but it's like, so you're asking, I got kicked out the nest. It wasn't like, in fact, I was getting kicked. I was not out the nest. You know, when people, this could be a little violent, but you know, I don't know if you like know anything about gang culture, but you know, like
jumped in, jumped out.
Well, not necessarily. You know how they like the curb stomping. Like people say curb stomp now so lightly, and I'm like, yo, chill. I was beat within an inch of my life last year, and I'm telling you, like I know, because the things that I started thinking I don't belong to me. Do you know what I'm saying? And I was like shocked, and so last year was rough. So I was thrown to the point that I was like, cool, no parachute, I'm out this plane. I can't even afford to be connected to this. But I also folk usually, how you may be known for something, folks don't know me. That's the thing. So when people were like, oh, Major L, I'm like, how Sway? I don't even make money over here. I had invested in that scene over $100,000 across the last 3 years. You know what I'm saying? I was taking my real money from real
clients.
Do you know my salary for Build Your Own Dreams? First year was $250 a month. Last year was $500 a month. Year 3, $500 a month. Yeah. Beloved.
Right. I'm doing this for love.
Beloved. Because I'm a believer. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to build infrastructure for people. That's what my whole life is about, building bridges. I knew at a very young age my job was to build bridges. That's why I'm such a deep connector. That's why I love people. That's why I feel so joined to people. When I can see them, I can hear them. I understand where your pain is. But like, no, people don't know me, so I'm not worried about what you know me for. You have no idea what you see. Okay, one of my podcasts, right. That's in a whole nother world. Some people don't even know Issa Rae acquired that podcast. That's why we changed the name. She acquired the podcast and paid us for over a year to podcast. I'm on Radio's network. People don't know that.
Yeah.
I used to be at the...
I did research and I didn't know that.
That's what I'm saying. I used to be up at the radio office. They have this Fall Through Friday thing like once a month. I'd be out in LA hanging out there. Y'all talking to me
about this little stuff. So let me ask you this, right? Last year, worst year, lawsuits. I'm sure some of these relationships that had to end professionally were also personal, people that you cared for on some level, or at least at one time.
I think, but I had a pretty healthy boundary. I used to always say, like, artists aren't my friends.
Gotcha.
Because I realized they didn't care about me. It's just a one-way street. Like,
y'all
don't even know.
Me and my manager are brother and sister. That might be dangerous in one day, I guess.
Well, no, I think that's good, but that's just...
Well, we've been riding since we were both very broke.
Yeah. And you're probably close in age. A lot of people,
we are close in age.
A lot of people think I'm younger than I am. Yeah. So then when you think I'm younger than I am, you think you can talk to me a certain type of way. You think that we're going through the same struggles. You think that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm about to say, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I was managing like 23, 24-year-olds.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, I mean, some of them were older, but no, I never, after the first group that I managed who were actually my friends, I had to create that delineation. So yes, I care. Everybody I've ever managed, I deeply care about. It's just not in a boundary. It's just not in a friend way. It's in a different.
So we talked about how last year was just terrible in some ways for you. How did you get through that? Do you feel like your relationship with God carried you? I know you talked about on the way here, you listen to gospel music.
No gospel music.
Oh, no gospel music?
No, I was speaking in tongues.
Oh, you said you're speaking in tongues? Yes.
So I don't curse on your show.
Yes. She said she's speaking in tongues. She don't get her hand cussed. And I love to I love to hear it. So parents, ministers, growing up in church, what do you do to center yourself when things are going crazy, when your mind, you talked about your mind kind of telling you things that you know weren't from you. How do you get back to center?
It took a really long time. And that's the thing, I've never had a season that long that was that painful and that hard. It really started October 2022, and at the end of August, I think it was like August 31st, or it was right before Holy last year, I was like, hey, God, I can't make it a year in this season. I need you to get me out by the end of next month. I can't make it to October. And I had started really praying that in July, because it just one thing after another, and then this sideshow's going on, and I'm being doxxed, and then I'm hearing things about people. I'm like, oh, I knew I didn't trust you, but I'm glad so it's like I have my business is being, I had two businesses with multiple people, so both businesses being messed up, outside relationships being messed up. Internally, I'm realizing that some of the people I consider friends aren't friends. I'm feeling this dissonance. And my church in Atlanta was very much a safe place for me, but I started feeling even a dissonance there. Not because of anything that they were doing. I just was like so uncomfortable. Everything just felt like super uncomfortable. So I don't know. I was having a lot of like really raw conversations with God, and I'm like that in general. Like I can
handle it.
I'm myself in general. Like I'm not friends with people that I can't be myself with. Like I don't mind tension. Tension to me points to what you're interested in and what you care about. Tension is how your bones stay connected to your muscles. Tension is how you exercise well. Tension is how your brains. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't mind tension. How you grow. Yeah, tension is needed, but it wasn't just tension. I was shot out. It was crazy. So I was just having real conversations with him. I was going on walks every day. And I had recently given up. At the top of that year of 23, I decided to give up my biggest vice, like the thing that I leaned on the most. And so going through the year from hell without my vice was super hard, like super hard. So then I went through this phase where I was just leaning into the hardest things. I was like fasting a ton. I started running. It was so wild. Like, so I was fasting way more than I ever fasted. I was running, and then I was just always outside. I was crying a ton. I have a really, 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 really healthy community, and I have been building it and working through things, and even just communicating with them, learning how to communicate with them in therapy. Like, hey, when I'm flooded, these are the things that I need. Hey, when I feel overwhelmed, so 2022, I was going through that. I had been healing for I started with my current therapist in 2020, and I had been really working through a lot of stuff. So by the time I got through 20 to 22, I could articulate, like, it is unhelpful to me when you do this, but I could do it before I got to that moment. So I'd be like, hey, I'm just calling you because when I'm flooded and you ask me a bunch of questions, it makes it worse. And I feel like I'm isolated, so then I won't call you. Or like sometimes I just need to sit in your living room and cry, and I just want you to be that, you know what I'm saying? So I had gone through that. So I have a really great community. So I was talking to them, I was walking a lot, I was crying, and I was being very honest with my feelings. I'm an honest person, but I won't show many of my cards. And I was really learning how to show my emotion to the people that I cared about the most, but also tell them when things that they did hurt me. My thing is, if you're a net positive in my life, I don't want to rock the boat for security reasons. So if you're net positive, even if it's only 52%, then I'm going to let a ton of ish slide, which is why I got into the situations that I did with the artists and all the things in general, because I was letting way too much stuff slide.
Come on, stuff.
Because bless the Lord. But even the lawsuit that I went through, that was somebody who I let way too much stuff slide. So people, and that's the thing, people really rock with me because they know how direct, how honest I am. And it's never spicy. But when it comes to them, they don't want it on, you know what I'm saying? People, they don't want to have to deal.
They can't take it.
Well, they're like, do that on my behalf, but don't bring it in my direction. The reason that I'm so big on accountability, though, is because I hold myself very accountable. You're not the same way. I'm not the type of person who's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I hold myself accountable. If you give me something that I don't like, I'm going to hold it, especially if I don't like it. I'm going to hold it for a moment to evaluate, like, well, what context? Why don't I like this? Does this prick something on the inside because something needs to change?
What is making me feel? And
is
why?
Is this childhood trauma that's undealt with? Is there a ton of truth in this, or does this completely misrepresent me? If it completely misrepresents me, if I held on to it, toss it out, wash my hands. I'm cool. So I'm not bothered by things, and I'm a Black woman in America who owns multiple businesses. So when people try to insinuate like, oh, well, she's not malleable, beloved, I've seen more of the world than you could even imagine. I'm super malleable. But if you come at me, so last year I was really strengthening myself for myself, not just for other people. So that's what started to happen. I started getting stronger. I started going outside. I was going to a personal trainer. I was crying a ton. I was walking. I was fasting. Me and God weren't in dissonance. We definitely got closer last year, but it wasn't like he was just like, Erinn, we homies. It was almost like, he's like, you know I'm here.
Stop playing.
You like, and we've had a great relationship most of my life. It's just, we just keep getting better. But I feel like last year was almost like, I knew he wasn't leaving me, but I very much felt distance. And so in the distance, I said, well, I'm going to just be here, because it's not real distance, it's perceived distance. So I'm just going to lean into getting better at the things that are harder. I'm going to lean into listening more. I'm going to lean into, but it was just like, it was rough. I got my community, lots of prayer, lots of fasting. I just almost had to go into hard things in real, like tangible hard things. You know, some people go to like harming themselves or abuse to feel life or whatever. I had to focus on tangibly hard things so that I wasn't experiencing the mentally and spiritually hard things as much. You know, so it was rough.
I get that. I totally get that. Needing to dive into the things that make your body work. Well. To also help your mind.
Or like just low-key distraction. It's like, dang, like you're being doxxed on the internet, but you haven't ate in 2 days. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, right now, I don't care that homeboy in Oklahoma who got no traction is talking about me, like going off in my DMs. It's like, I'm hungry, Lord.
Right. I'm fasting. Jesus.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, and it's like, it takes almost like you know, they tell you like touch grass when people be on the
It helps
internet
you
going
keep the
crazy.
main thing.
Yeah, it's like in real life, I'm hungry right now. I don't care that you who don't know me,
right,
and even people in my life don't know me like that, have a bunch of stuff to say in my DMs. You had to come find me, follow me, or not follow me, and go off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Let's talk about community. Yeah. You talked about you having a really healthy community. And I feel like you try to extend that to others.
Oh, yes.
Let's talk about Comtech.
Okay.
Explain the term Comtech.
I think I made it up.
You might have made it up?
I think so. I ain't never heard it before.
I don't think I have either.
And I just started saying it like 3 weeks ago. That's why I was like, oh, you doing your,
Well, you said you started a Comtech company.
When did I say that?
You said it in an interview.
That's what I'm saying. What interview? I'm like, what?
I listened to several of them.
Okay. I'm like, what interview did I say?
You started a Comtech company and community tech, right? What does that mean for Black people specifically, but for people at large? What could community tech bring to our world?
Yeah, so everybody's on the internet. I really be outside. That's how I know people. That's how I know culture. That's how I can maneuver in any situation. So my company originally so it's called Where Y'all At Though. I don't know if you watch this. Folks don't be watching interviews, so it's fine.
It's all right.
Yeah.
I got it right here.
No, it's fine. I'm saying, well, because it's a faceless brand right now. We did that because me and my two business partners, the two of them live in Austin right now, and we have all been throwing events. My two business partners are Brandon from BYOD, and then our homegirl, Lauren Light. She's a DJ, so she was DJing all of our parties. She started DJing during the pandemic, though. So when we came out of the pandemic, she just DJed one of our parties, and then it's just been off since then.
I love organic connection.
Yes.
That's how we
but
all
she
got
was
together.
Already helping us throw events. And she told Brandon, she was like, oh, I started DJing. And I told him, I was like, because I'm very specific about our DJs. Very experienced designer. I don't care if you're good. Yeah. I don't care if you're kind of good. I don't care if your mom thinks you're great and your homegirl does too. I need to know that you are exceptional and you can move in any room, right? So I get to Austin. We had already booked her, but it was for a happy hour situation. First song, I was like, and then she started mixing. She's one of the best DJs I've ever heard. She's incredible. But anyways, we started the company during Afrotech in November. So the joint is 6 months old. It's fresh. Okay. We started it we had been talking about it since the summertime, but we wanted to launch before Afrotech because it's in Austin. Black people converge on Austin. I've been throwing events in Austin with Brandon for the last 4 years. Lauren is a part of the team, whatever. So we're like, all these Black people converge on Austin. My cousin has lived in Austin for 13 years since he graduated from UT. Every time he comes to one of my events, he says, I've never seen this many Black people in Austin. Negro, you've been here 12 years. Your girl just been here. Right. I just got out here. Right. So we would post recaps from our events, whatever, and people would be like, where are all these Black people coming from?
Where was this? I didn't know about this.
I wish I would have known about this. Man. So then I'm like, in my head, I'm like, dang, we had 36 comments. Most of them, say 15 of them come, but they bring a +1. And then if we caught them this time, they're going to love it, which means the next two parties, that's 45 to 60. I'm calculating how much money we're losing by the amount of comments we're getting from people saying, there's this many Black people in Austin. So I'm like, bet. So Brandon used to own a group.
I would think Austin got a lot of Black people, no?
Have you been to Austin?
I have not. I have not.
Let's see. Austin is very diverse and interesting, but like you're going to see more Latinos and Asians and then Blacks. Okay. And I believe there's Black people in every city. Yeah. And then when I'm in cities, I see Negroes. Yeah. What? Yeah. Because I'm an Atlanta girl, so like I got to see my people. Yeah, you feel me? Like I love all y'all. Yes. I need my people.
Me too.
So anyways, we started the company basically to promote Black and brown events. But we wanted when people came into Austin, they could know for Afrotech, okay, this is a super Black tech conference. Where are the Black people at? So Brandon had a green book, the ATX green book, that him and his sister used to run that. It was a website, but they had like a little page that had like 1,000 followers. Lauren was like, we should have a social calendar for Black and brown people. She's biracial, Latino, and Black. And she was like, we should have a social calendar for Black and brown people. So we all just talked for several months. And we were like, let's make it like a Google Calendar, but it's super coded black, but we'll also highlight, whatever, our homies. So we came up with the name Where Y'all At Though. I write all the captions. So it's like, again, heavily coded black. And it started for, and then it just took off. So now the city of Austin gives us all their green space for free.
Wow.
We partner with a lot of nonprofits who want to do things for Black and Brown Austin, but don't have a connection point. It's a lot of times people will be like, we want to do this for minorities, but they don't know what minorities need or want, or where they congregate, or what to say to get them interested.
They don't have any minority friends to talk to.
Or they'll be like, we're doing this thing for Black people, free, whatever. And I'm like, you just put a barbecue company not owned by one of us, and you're saying free barbecue, and you think that we're gonna come. I'm gonna pull up on some free food anytime, but not from y'all.
Not unseasoned.
and not to say, because there's some like Franklin's barbecue, and there's some, but beloved, come on, you could have just asked.
We don't want the soupy mac and cheese. We need to come on through.
So
we need arm fat by the grill.
Come on. We need somebody with ashy shoes who should be getting checked for diabetes. Or ashy feet in the sandals. You know what I'm saying?
Right. We need a swollen ankle.
Come on. Unfortunately, no. So then I can no.
Sorry, I'll be watching my 600-pound life. My bad.
No, because Auntie E gonna come with I'm gonna come with the juices and the compression socks and be like, hey, we got to get this together. I want to eat good, but I want us to all live.
Yes, I want us to live.
You heard about my grandparents into their 90s. Like, I want us to all live. But so we started it because of that. 6 months later, boom, boom, boom. So now it's just like, it's moving. So we were like, so we were promoting every event, but we throw our own events. So obviously we're getting a front row seat to seeing how successful this page is for our own events. We're looking at higher conversion rates, higher so we started a social club in Austin. It's centered around food. It's called Clubitis. So we
I love that.
Come on, you feel me? So like
urban fatigue.
So Clubitis started in January. We sold out every Clubitis, right? Not only just Clubitis, every event that our companies have thrown since then because of the page have sold out. So now it's like we're our own case study, but we're a faceless brand again. So people don't even know that that's our page.
Right.
We're pulling up on our homies events like, yo, like, thanks for the tickets. They're like, how'd you get the tickets? I'm like, oh, we're Where Y'all At Though. Do you know what I'm saying? So the reason that it's switched to tech is because when it started to blow, it really started to blow during Black History Month. So when it started to blow, we were like, how can we make this matter more? We started thinking about an in real life location because we want to have like a hub for Black people. If you come into town or if you move into the city, you don't have any friends, you can come here to co-work. There's a kitchen. So Black and Brown chefs who can't afford the space in Austin to own a kitchen can now say, hey, we have a residency at Where Y'all At Those hub. We'll be cooking for these 10 days. You can come get lunch or dinner. We want to coffee shop, but in all these spaces, we also want to teach classes. I want to teach you how to cook. I want to teach you about coffee culture. I want to teach you how to bartend. We want to do entrepreneurial courses, all these things. So we started talking about that. So of course, I'm like, we're in Austin. Let's get into the tech world. I start talking to different people about it. Somebody tells me about prop tech. They're like, oh, with y'all's mission, you can get free property. And I'm like, huh? Come again? They're like, yeah, because you're offering a service to the city or to that building. The building can write off everything if you cool. So I'm like, let me do some research. So we start researching, talking to advisors, whatever.
You've been having LLC since you was 12. So,
correct.
So you
doing too much research.
You about this life.
Yeah. So
she
then
about the
like,
paperwork life.
No cap.
I am terrible. That's all my husband. I'll be like,
I'm not great at paperwork, but I'll do the research and I'll pitch it to Brandon and Brandon will get it straight. So now we're working on an app. We're working on a physical space. We're working on moving to Nashville. So we're going to launch Where Y'all At Though.
Do you want to live in Nashville full time?
Oh my God.
You do?
No.
No. Okay. Atlanta. You don't know. Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm moving as God has me move. I know my next season is marriage. So I'm
period.
I'm
define
moving,
that. Call that.
I'm moving as I'm supposed to move. I'm not supposed to be in Atlanta right now. I don't know where I'm going to be in the future. But right now, Nashville, Austin, and Atlanta, I'm not supposed to be in Atlanta like living. I got a house here, but I'm not living. You know what I'm saying? And so, it's just, Yeah, I don't know. So we're working on the app. Nashville's next, and then we're trying to branch out into 5 underserved cities like Charlotte. We're thinking Phoenix, and then we're going to go potentially into South Africa. Who knows?
Nice.
This is just my vision right now. Yes. We're running with it, and then my business partners we each have a different version of the company that we're iterating in. But yeah, so that's community technology. I haven't, but I've been to North Africa, so I've been to Morocco. Loved it. The Horn, you know.
Nice. Yeah. I've been to South Africa a couple times. It's beautiful and in need.
I've heard. So, to anchor everybody and bring everybody in.
Yeah, because you think because Africa is on the end of it.
Yeah. And that's why I'm familiar with South Africa.
Just ended 93.
Yeah.
So imagine if Jim Crow ended in 93. You know,
but still, it is so long ago.
Right, 92 and 93. But it is,
it's needed.
I recently had a conversation with some people who have power and position in terms of my career. And I had to take ownership for the fact that I have not advocated for myself. And I have not said, I'm not doing that enough, no more.
Yep.
I recently, I want to say, lost an intern. I didn't lose her. She got hired to a full-time position because I trained her, and she.
Facts.
And so people kept asking me, "How do you feel about it? How do you feel? So and so's leaving. How do you feel?" And I said, "How do y'all feel?" Because I'm not doing anything more. I am at my capacity. The question is, how do you feel?
Correct.
Because are you going to fix it or not?
Yeah.
I'm not now going to start.
Shook.
Yeah, I'm not now going to start doing her job and mine. I'm not. So don't ask me how I feel. Fine. How do you feel?
Correct.
And people were like, you're right.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Correct.
Because I'm not about to put the work on my back. I already did the work of training her.
Correct. I would say I had to go through the advocacy thing for myself. I'm a big advocate for everybody else but me. And that's what last year I had to start realizing. I'm like, I'm shrinking every time because I think I've been conditioned that I can handle this, or that it's not that big of a deal, or there's a greater good, or and then I start looking, I'm like, y'all can say that right now because you sleep more than I do. You can say that right now because you have a full-time job. I took all of my artists to build a company, so I'm paying all of these employees off of what I used to do and make this money. I'm now going to get extra, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I had to have a come to Jesus moment with Brandon. And the reason that I stuck with him was because he was like, I hear you, I see you, and that's my bad. I'm like, we're equal partners, and he works. That man works. He works way more than me. But I'm the face of the company. I'm getting all the ridicule. I'm getting all the hatred. I'm getting none of the love right now.
Right.
When it's loud, and I try to point my spotlight back on him. He's amazing. This dude, we would not be here without him. But when it's bad, nobody thinks twice about him. And that's not a shot to him. It's just I'm the face of the company. And so I'm like, I'm catching all this flack. I'm the one who people call in the middle of the night when they're having issues with their wife. I'm the one who people call about this. I'm the one, when we're negotiating something, you want to have a side conversation. You don't call us, you call Erinn. You know what I'm saying? And I'm the one chronically disrespected. I'm the one in the room. It's nothing but men and nobody's sticking up for me. I'm like, I don't want to, I'm not going to stick up for myself.
Yeah.
I'm having this conversation because I'm sticking up for myself to you. I want to be defended.
Yeah.
I want you in that moment to think, if this was my wife and this is going on, I need to protect Erinn like that.
Yeah.
I want to be the woman in the situation. I want to be soft. I don't want to have my guard up. I want to be able to lead from a place of gentleness and integrity and compassion. And I want to be able to feel my way through
myself.
Yes.
I can't be myself if you keep putting me in this position.
I want to feel my way through this business. That's how I function. I don't want to have to immediately throw on logically, this is better for business. No, I don't feel right about this. I don't have a reason and I don't care. We're not doing this. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying pitching a fit. I'm successful. We're doing a lot. But I want to have that. I don't want to hear you tell me that logically it makes sense, so I need to let that go. And he never did it in a mean way, or it was just like on paper this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let's go back over the last 4 decisions on paper that made sense that I didn't feel good about, and we're here now. And I'm not throwing anything in your face, but I'm saying that my feelings are just as valid as your logic. And if we're not weighing them the same, then I can no longer be here.
And my feelings are based in experience. I'm not crazy.
Experience and the Holy Spirit.
Yes, that part, right?
What?
I recently had that talk with two of my business partners. And I'll make this very short, but basically I wanted to hire for a certain thing and they wanted to save money on it. And I was like, okay, trying to be a team player, okay. And the thing came out okay. But if we would have hired, it would have came out better. Mm-hmm. And everyone would have been in their purpose. Mm-hmm. And I had to explain, only I can do what I can do.
Correct.
No one else can do what I can do. And it sounds arrogant but it's not. Only I can, no one else can.
You're not going to wear a left foot shoe on your right foot.
But no one can step in for me and be me. So then now when I have to do more than one thing,
then
or
I can't be me like I'm supposed to be.
I can't fully be me, which affects the bottom line.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Correct. Like in a bee colony, the other bees got to do what they got to do. So the queen bee can do what she does.
That keeps everybody alive.
Because this is how the bills. This is what we can. This is where we're gonna go. Correct. Like, you know what I mean? Correct. And so after everything was said and done, we had a debrief, and it was like, you know what, you're right. In the future, we got because
and it's usually not malicious. It's just a misunderstanding.
It's also a misunderstanding of what's valuable.
Correct.
Because when people don't understand the value of a certain thing, they'll be like, well, we don't need to do that. Well, why we need to do that? And I'm like, I understand.
That's why I had to get out of management.
I understand the value. Anyway, some of this ain't even got nothing to do with y'all. This is just two sisters.
I can't explain what's understood. I can't explain it to you, so I just got to move to the right environment.
But sometimes you got to let people learn on the back end, which also it costs you that one time, but then you don't ever have to worry about it again.
Everybody who's ever asked me over is going to learn on the back end for sure.
Yeah, you're going to see it one day or another. Okay, you wrote a book. You wrote an ebook.
Thank you for bringing this up.
The ebook landed on 4 different bestsellers lists.
Ebook because I'm Erinn, you know what I'm saying?
The Erinn book landed on 4 different bestsellers lists. Is on Audible.
And I narrated.
Yes, narrated by you on Audible.
Yeah.
You talk about how to be excellent. It's a beginner's guide, a beginner's manual.
The unbelievable.
And it really is something that is simple enough, yet complicated.
You read it?
Some of it.
Okay.
Simple enough,
it's
yet
only
complicated. Yes, it's short. Yeah. And on Audible, it's this long. You said something that about the book that I think is really cool. So excellent is a mindset in a marathon, right? Mm-hmm. Explain that a little bit. Tell us why you wrote the book, who the book is for, and why we should read it.
Yeah. The book is for everyone. It's just, I have lived an exceptional life and I'm young. I have lived an unbelievable life. Mm-hmm. You couldn't imagine the places I've traveled, the people that I've met, the food that I've ate, and it's because I've incorporated these principles. It's to me, I just looked back and I'm like, well, what is consistent? Why have I been able to achieve unbelievable things? Yeah. And I'm not necessarily somebody who's like, I've achieved unbelievable. I just get that feedback so consistent. Mm-hmm. People are like, how'd you do that?
It's true.
I'm like, oh, I guess. Like, I'm not looking at it thinking it's small. I don't think anything I'm doing is small, but I have so much more in my head that I'm like, again, I'm very present. I love what I've done, but I'm like, it
could get so much bigger.
Yeah, like
that's how I feel too.
Forbes for me was a goal since I started my first business, but I really thought I was going to be there like 22, 23. So when I hit it in my 30s, I was kind of like, I was hyped. Yeah. I cried. Like I wasn't, but I just really thought I was going to be there sooner. Mm-hmm. So when people all the way in my 20s, oh, you done? I'm like, that's just like one thing for me. So for me, it's more of like feedback from other people who've said it's been unbelievable. But I just look back and assessed, my life, and I think it's for everybody. Yeah. What was the quote that you said that I said?
You said that
excellence is a marathon.
It's a marathon and a mindset.
Yeah. Yep. So anybody can win a championship once, right? You could be elementary school, basketball game, whatever.
MVP.
Somebody T-ball, or maybe you got a promotion at your job. Anybody can be excellent in a moment, right? Or if you're really excited, there's energy, support, everything. But to me, it's a marathon because being consistently excellent means you have to always level up. And leveling up takes a mindset.
Yeah.
And marathon runners condition themselves. So that's why I say it's a marathon and a mindset.
It reminded me of like the Mamba mentality. Like just really.
Shout out Kobe. Yeah, I almost wore a Kobe shirt today.
Yeah. And so when you think about writing this book and wanting people to delve more into excellence, not just doing things, but doing things excellently, what is one thing that if you had, being somebody who has worked with artists, being someone who just works with people in general in business, what is one thing that you see that if people would just work on that thing, they'd show up more excellently?
Consistency. That's the next book. Because it's the beginner's guide to achieving the unbelievable. The next book is consistency is key. So my thing is they're so short because it took me a long time to start to like to read, but I also feel like people miss the big picture because I believe in context, but they say if you don't want somebody to know something, put it in a book. So I don't want that. I don't want it to be, and when your homies write a book and the joint be 200 pages, you be like, you bought a book and it just be on your shelf. I got hella homies books on my shelf that I never read. So I wanted it to be super accessible, which is why I was like, I'm not going to come out with a physical book. The first thing's going to be an ebook and I'm going to put it on Audible and you're going to hear my voice. So it's only 21 pages because I really consider it technically like chapter 1 because I'm going to put together how to be excellent. It's going to be an exhaustive, but I'm living it. I'm writing as I'm living. The only reason I did that last year is because I was going through hell. So I was like, let me focus. People have been telling me to write a book forever. I struggle to focus to sit down and compose something. And I was like, well, let me come up with an acronym. Oh, okay. Well, if I make it short, I would read this. Do you know what I'm saying? So I just started creating it as I would eat it. And then I came out with that. But I don't really remember what the question was.
I love it. I think about, being excellent. It was one thing people could do.
Consistency.
Consistency, right. And so I think about being excellent. I think about my own life where I've started to see the most, change is when I was consistent.
Correct.
Being consistent, and understanding that consistency doesn't mean every day is a hilltop experience. It just means you show up.
Yeah.
But if you show up every day, the chances that you will have some really great mountaintop experiences is very high.
Correct.
If you show up every day. And so for me, that's what I'm doing. And what I realized from it, is I was making a lot of excuses for a long time. Sometimes you think you're working hard and then you start really working hard and you realize, oh, I wasn't working that hard. And consistency for me at this point in my life is becoming a measure of how bad do you actually want it.
Correct.
Because if you don't want it bad enough to show up to the gym every day, if you don't want it, or however many days a week you said you were going to show up, if you don't want it bad enough to not buy the thing you ain't supposed to be buying so you can spend your money on this podcast and other things, if you don't want it bad enough to put your fingers to a phone you're already using and press post, then you really don't want it. Yeah, and I told myself for years that I wanted things that I wasn't working for. Years.
You want the idea of something.
Yes.
Because consistency is not about motivation.
Oh, no.
It's about discipline.
Oh, my gosh.
And most people don't have discipline.
Please.
So when people say, oh, yeah, I've been trying, I've been consistent, I'm like, for how long?
Child, when my alarm went off this morning and I knew I had all of this to do today, the last thing I wanted to do, mind you, we have a gym in our building, but I call it a sexy gym. It's dark and moody, but half the machines don't work. Oh, damn. And so we belong to a gym that is 20-something minutes away without traffic because it has a lot of perks. I don't want to go.
For sure.
But I made myself a promise.
For sure.
That I'm going to be here for all these blessings that I believe are coming. I'm not going to be here for long if I don't get the health right. And so I really, when the alarm goes off, I don't want to get up and go. It's not about motivation. It's not even about results yet. Because to be honest, I'm like, I feel like I look the same, Lord. The scale say I lost a couple pounds, but I don't see it, But it's because I've decided to be consistent. And consistency is a contract with self.
Come on.
Consistency is a contract with self.
Come on,
when you think it's about other people, it'll work for a little while. But what I've realized is I can't be consistent for my husband.
Nope.
I can't be consistent for my manager. I can't be consistent for my parents. I can't be. And for so long, so much of what I was doing was about other people and making them proud. And when I finally realized you weren't put on here to make nobody proud, you were put on here to put on this earth to please God.
Yes.
And you need to make a contract with Him and yourself to do the things you say you're going to do. My whole life has literally changed. It hasn't even been a year.
But you know what that is?
Tell me.
It's an identity shift. So the book I'm talking about identity, but I say it like, if I say that, you're going to miss it. When you have all of these, the framework I use is CARE, community, accountability, resources, and exceptionality. When you have these things in alignment, your identity shifts because your community is informing that, your accountability keeps you in. But to opt into all of these things, your identity has to say, I am the person who does this.
Yeah, yes.
So I was a millionaire before the moment I started Heavenly Treats. Because I've been new. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I was a champion before I ever picked up a ball. I'm a winner. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So when I make audacious claims, when I used to say things, people, now it's like, boy, I can't tell you how many of my high school friends, all the people coming out the woodwork, I always knew you. I did too. Yeah. When I
I'm not saying I did too. I always knew, Liz.
I have never doubted. Erinn Knight has never. I have never doubted that I was going to win and win big.
Yeah.
I have, and that's why when people are like, "Oh, you're just doing all these things," I'm like, I'm not winning big enough. I still think about bills.
Yeah, yeah. I want to get to the point where I'm not thinking about it.
Yes, and it's way different. Even right now from last year, I had a couple of checks, like some major checks this year that I forgot to send invoices for. And like last, like literally the Holy Spirit reminded me, like I'm talking about like lots of zeros. And I was like, dang, Auntie E in a new spot. Yeah. I'm forgetting to send invoices.
New tax bracket.
Yeah, but it's still.
Send them invoices.
I sent them. But I still think about bills. Yeah. I want to be at a point where I don't even. I don't trip because the Lord told me don't worry about it. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying. Yeah. So it's like.
Well, marriage is your next ministry.
It is,
and so you ain't gonna think about bills for that reason. Then you're gonna have even more. You're going to have even more. You're going to have your stuff in there. Come on, speak. I'm speaking that. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
It's a question that we ask everybody to end out the show. And the question is this. In the grand scheme of things, what do you want your legacy to be?
That's what it is. I think I already said it. He gave it all. Erinn lived, boy. Yeah. And she was there. We have no doubts that she reached her absolute fullest potential that she was put on this earth for. Yeah. And not only that, she equipped, empowered, and encouraged other people to do the same. Like, not only did Erinn live her full life, but everybody around her couldn't help but lean into their full life and do what they were supposed to do because her charisma, desire, affection for life, and for what her purpose was infected everybody around her. Yeah. Like, I'm a change maker, and if I don't change the temperature of the room that I walk into, I'm not living in my full purpose. If I don't make you uncomfortable or excited, I'm not doing. I'm like sandpaper. I either need to be smoothing you out or roughing you up. That's it. That's what I'm here for. Yeah. So when people don't respond well to me, it used to hurt because I love people. I want to be liked. I don't care. Yeah. I'm here to make sure you reach your purpose. If that requires you to not like me momentarily, that's okay. Because you're going to look back and appreciate it. Or you're never going to mature enough to realize what I was doing for you. But that's not my problem. I was put here for that.
You're going to give gems to the end, y'all. Gems to the end. Listen, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences, your heart, your intellect. You have so much wisdom and knowledge.
Thank you.
You share it in a funny yet vulnerable way. And I'm excited to see all that comes. We didn't even talk about some stuff, but all that comes from building your dreams, all that comes from Comtech, all that comes from the things that you will put your hand to that we don't even know about yet. I'm praying blessings over your life. I'm praying favor over your life. I totally believe that you have not only the gifts that you mentioned today, but the gift of seeing people and seeing the things in them that they have yet to see. And that is a spiritual gift that not very many people have. And so I thank you for being here. Guys, this has been the second episode of season 2 of I'll Just Let Myself In podcast. Y'all already know the deal. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go ahead and like, comment, share. Make sure that you leave a review if you can leave a review. We're on Spotify and we're also on Apple Podcasts. If you want to listen, we're on YouTube if you want to watch. And catch us the same place, same time next week. We out. Yeah,